Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of the Arsenal Transfer Show. Joining you live at the TGC Stadium every morning at 8 a.m. for just 2 more days, because then there is going to be a little bit of a hiatus for obvious reasons. It should be obvious if it isn't already, but the wedding being in just 2 days' time obviously does mean that there won't be a show over the weekend, but we will be back next week with shows for you, of course. So just make sure you keep those notifications turned on so you know when the shows are going to drop. Might be able to record a reaction to the Fulham game individually, probably not a live show, but I probably might be able to upload kind of a short 10-minute thoughts video. We'll get there. We'll see what happens. I might just want to spend time with the wife. We'll see what happens. Good morning, everybody in the chat box. Maggie, good morning to you, to Simon, to Blackshine, to Harrison and PJ. Good morning to Carl. Good morning to Johan. Good morning to Yomi and Colin and Big O. Good morning to Mac and Marcus and Kaiser and Perez. Good morning, guys. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. And everybody else in the chat box as well. Let's start off, as always, by going and telling you that this week's prize is a signed Dennis Bergkamp shirt. There is 299 tickets available at the start of the competition. However, I can tell you that now over 170, in fact, 170 exactly, tickets have already been purchased. So more than half are gone in just a day. So you got to be quick. You got to get moving if you want to get involved in this competition that runs out next Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. The draw will take place live on the Football Prizes Facebook page, and there is also plenty of instant win prizes. Link to the prize is in the video description, but you can even win a signed Bergkamp shirt as an instant prize. You can buy a ticket and in that moment win the shirt, as well as a Freddie Ljungberg signed, framed and shirt. The 2022 Arsenal home away or third kit of your choice. The Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang signed and custom framed Arsenal shirt. The Ben White signed an Arsenal framed montage. Lee Dixon, Tony Adams, Steve Bold and Nigel Winterburn signed Arsenal montage. And then some small football prizes credit. So there you go. Make sure you go and click the link in the description. When we talk about channels, make sure you're going over to the Arsenal Way. We'll be live over there at 10 a.m. as always. And the last bit of admin this morning, as always, is to tell you to go and vote for us in the FCAs. Thank you so much for everybody that has already voted for us in the best club content creator Premier League category. Incredibly competitive. And if you haven't already been able to drop a vote for us, or if you've already done it, why not go and do it again? So just go to www.votefortgt.com. That will create a tweet for you in which you just click tweet, and that's your vote. If you don't have Twitter, you can go to Instagram, go onto their Instagram page at the Football Content Awards, find that picture you can see on your screen there, Best Club Content Creator Premier League, and tag us at the Gooner Talk. And lastly, you can go and vote on their website as well. Just put us into the right category, which is on your screen, and you've voted. Thank you so much for the hard work that goes into making this channel, and it is from you guys, because you play a big part in this too. It'd be great if we can get nominated once again. Anyway, yesterday I recorded a show with Simon Collings of the Evening Standard. We have a good chat about Neto and Tielemans and all the games so far this season, and Fulham. So if you want to go and check that out, it is the last upload on the channel. Definitely worth a listen if you haven't given it one so already. Our first story of the day, though, is that Salah Eddin Oulad Mhand has joined Hull City on a loan deal. It is expected that that loan deal will include an option to buy. However, we are not understanding at all whether or not this option is of a kind of really attractive figure for Arsenal or pennies. There's not been any information so far released that I can find on how much that option to buy is included in his contract. So that has been officially confirmed yesterday. It was announced last week that it was going to be taking place, but it was officially announced on Hull's accounts yesterday. Brooke Norton-Cuffy made his debut for Rotherham in a 1-0 defeat to Morecambe in the second round of the Carabao Cup, unfortunately. He's got to get used to his teammates. He's got to start playing at the Championship level, but good to see him make his debut for Rotherham, and we will be keeping track of his career in the Championship with monthly updates in our loan report series, which will be coming at the start of next month. Nicolas Pepe's loan to Nice continues to kind of falter a little bit. The main stumbling block right now to get its completion sorted is the wages. He is on £140,000 per week at Arsenal, and that is creating a little bit of a problem regarding how easy it is to complete the deal, because Nice don't necessarily want to pay that much. They don't want to commit to paying that much as well if they were to ever buy him through the option that is being reported around. That said, there are a number of conflicting reports claiming that there isn't an option to buy in this deal either. So let's see indeed what ends up happening with this one. But it is widely expected that a Nice loan, or a nice loan, if you like, will be completed very soon. Tonali's links to Arsenal have been effectively ended. Fabrizio Romano came out and said yesterday that the player, or last night rather, the player is untouchable, and that any link to any club is set to be rebuffed by Milan, who are looking to tie him down for long term. So don't expect Sandro Tonali to turn up at Arsenal anytime soon. However, a player that could arrive at Arsenal is, of course, Pedro Neto, the Portuguese international and Wolves player, has been spoken about by Bruno Lage, who is the, of course, Wolves manager. He said, I heard about that regarding the links, but nothing has come to us. It's normal to have this interest, but no one told me nothing about any proposals, so I cannot confirm nothing. Now, there's been other reports claiming that actually Neto would be open to the move to Arsenal to try and make it happen. How he would push for a move is unknown. I wouldn't expect him to kind of push for that loan move. For that just transfer in general. I wouldn't expect him to push for that deal. He's very happy at Wolves. He doesn't really want to annoy Wolves because it's an area that he's flourished in and will still continue to develop in. And he's got a long-term contract all the way through to 2027 with Wolves, so they don't have to accept any kind of bid. However, the advantage that Arsenal have is, of course, that Jorge Mendes is involved in this deal. I say it's an advantage because he's been able to make more deals amenable for both Wolves and potential exits. He's helped Arsenal with the Fabio Vieira deal in getting that one done very quietly. He's trying to help with this potential deal between the two clubs as well. Anything can happen. I, for one, hope it does. I'd love to see Pedro Neto at Arsenal. I think it'd be a great addition to the squad between now and the end of the season. But most importantly, we just hope we can get him for a reasonable price and we don't end up overpaying if we do end up getting him. And our final story of the day is according to a number of outlets now that have kind of jumped on the back of this story from The Sun, that Arsenal's deal for Youri Tielemans has hit stumbling blocks because of a £50 million demand, maybe potentially more than £50 million, according to The Sun, for Youri Tielemans. On the players' side, they also claim that a £200,000 per week demand for his wages is said to be creating a problem as well. I struggle to think that Leicester are asking for this much. I cannot sit here and say this is categorically not true, because the only information I have on the Tielemans situation is that Arsenal are willing to kind of wait until he was available on a free next summer, and they don't want to necessarily pay the previous demands of Leicester. That said, Ben Jacobs came out of CBS Sports, the man that, of course, broke this story on this channel all the way back in January, and talked about Youri Tielemans being a player that Leicester would accept around £30 million rather than £50 million. How much he eventually will move for, if he does intend to move this summer, remains a bit of a mystery. But it was interesting seeing a battle of the journos, if you like, last night on social media. You rarely see like a journalist reply to another journalist story with conflicting information. It's not something you tend to see. So it was interesting when it popped up on my screen when I saw it happening yesterday. So interesting indeed. Like, I've got no reason to doubt Ben's info. He's very close to people at Leicester. He's got a lot of good contacts there. So I have no reason to doubt Ben's info. I don't know anything about the info coming through from The Sun. I can't tell you whether or not the person is reliable. I don't know enough, to be honest, about that person. But from my perspective, Ben says we've agreed personal terms, which haven't seemed to be a problem for a long time. I don't see why that has been a problem. He's been very keen for the move, has Tielemans. So the £200,000 per week claim doesn't necessarily stack up for me. But if he is going for that amount of money, I would rather we went for someone else. He's not worth £50 million, especially with just a year left on his contract. And that completes all of today's stories. So make sure that if you haven't already done so, to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. We'll be jumping into your questions in the chat just after this very quick break. All right, then. As I said at the start of the show, there is a signed Dennis Bergkamp shirt available in this week's competition. Link to that is in the description. There's already been 170 tickets sold, or more than half are already gone. So do not miss out on your opportunity for this great prize, as well as lots of instant prizes you could win as well. Click the link for terms and conditions and more as well. As I said at the start of the show, do make sure you vote for us in the FCAs. Vote for tgt.com. You can go there and it will create the tweet for you. You can tag us on Instagram at the Gooner Talk, and you can vote on their website as well. But let's jump into the chat box and tackle plenty of your questions. Let's go to Matt. Says, I know we don't talk about them down the road, but have you been reading about Jed Spence? Apparently he's refused to go out on loan, and so he's been dropped from the squad. I haven't read that. To be honest, I don't really check in with Spurs stuff all that much, but I will quickly do a rapid Twitter Google of this, but I've not heard this. A lot of Middlesbrough fans apparently have been talking down about him, though. We'll have to wait and see if that certainly comes out to be a bit of a problem. Sharky says, Nico Williams is such a good replacement for Jed Spence. Elite recruitment. They haven't seemingly missed him, have Nottingham Forest, and Williams has done an excellent job. So interesting things indeed. Whether or not Jed Spence's career at Spurs does end up petering out, we'll wait and see. Billy says, news just in. Arsenal pursue young deal for Swedish-Dutch nationality winger Freddie Bergkamp. Yes, very good indeed, Billy. Very good indeed. Let's jump down a little bit more. Why are we saying congrats to Lucas? What's happened with Lucas? Lucas says, morning, Tom. Not a question. Just wanted to say that I was the lucky winner of the signed Vieira prize along with an instant prize. Love the show. Congratulations, Lucas. I love it when people come on the show and tell us they would have been one of the recipients of these prizes. I think Dan won the Paul Merson shirt as well. So congratulations, Lucas. Enjoy your prize. It's definitely a great one. I think it's the wall mount, isn't it, of the Vieira and the Gilberto montage. So congratulations, Lucas, and smashed it, mate. Albie says, please upgrade your mic when you move your head. The volume goes up and down. Albie, feel free to send me details of a microphone that you think would be better. That's the thing, is I don't mind people lending criticisms, but find me solutions. You've left a comment before on the video and I replied to it that you ignored. So I don't really understand what the point is of continuing telling me to do things without leaving any solutions. Lynn says, Tom, I think that this is the only paper talk read Tielemans as they didn't offer 30 million. So how are they going to get an interest for 20 million more? It's a great point. What I would say, Lynn, is if, say, this information turns out to somehow be true, potentially because no one else has gone in for Tielemans, it's because of this price existing at this ridiculously high figure. However, I don't think that he is being demanded for that. Just from my theory, no information, just my feeling on it, if you like. Jason says, hey, Tom, if Youri was available for 25 million, would you pay him £200,000 per week? No, he would become, I think, behind Jesus, therefore the most expensive player on our wage bill. So no, I would not be paying that amount of money to Youri Tielemans at all. He's worth probably about half, just over half of that per week I'd pay to fall in with the line with the rest of the wage bill. Nowhere near £200,000 per week. Now we need to stop paying players too much too early. Rich says, Tom, I know you prefer Milinkovic-Savic, but assuming the £25 million Tielemans fee is right, do you think there's a better centre mid we could get for around the same fee? Probably not. You're probably right in that sense. I mean, Fabian Ruiz, who ended up going PSG, or looks like he's going PSG, I think that's going to be a very similar price tag. So probably not, but I'd rather go and get a better player than Tielemans personally. I don't think there's anything wrong with thinking that. But yeah, 50 million quid, no chance. 25 million quid, a lot more fair price for Tielemans. Benjamin says, Tom, if the 50 million is for just Neto or Tielemans and Mudryk, which would you prefer? Interesting. 50 million quid for just Neto or 50 million quid for Tielemans and Mudryk? It's a really tough question. The reason why it's a tough question is because, look, I like Neto more than Mudryk. And Mudryk obviously is very unproven on an elite level. You have Tielemans there to give you more depth in the midfield. But I have my reservations about Tielemans because it would then block us from necessarily signing a better player. I think Neto is a level above Mudryk, or several levels actually above Mudryk for me. And because of that, I actually would lean towards signing Neto because it wouldn't lock us into two players that I think we can do better than. If that makes sense. If you spend 50 million on these two guys, you are committing to those guys for the length of their contracts, or at least a season or two if you're not going to sell them. So it would be 50 million on players that I personally think that we can do better than, and I'd rather go for the individual player that I think adds more quality. And then deal with the fact that, sure, we might be a bit short in midfield this season, or at least up until January, and then try and sign a better player than Tielemans then, or even just get Tielemans on a free later on down the line. So I'd lean towards just Neto over the two of them. Bagesh says, what are your views on Arsenal being listed on the FFP watch list? It's not necessarily surprising, but what I would say is it felt to me like a little bit of scaremongering, to be honest. I'm not too fussed about it right now. I'm sure that the club are falling in line with expectations, so I don't have a view really on that at the moment. Yeah, I'm sorry that I don't have anything more to say to it, but I don't have a worry about it right now. Akin says, Tom, do you think Tielemans would impede us from getting a world-class midfielder when we finally get... Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'd rather wait and say go for a Bellingham or a Kimmich would be unbelievable, but I don't think that'll happen. But yeah, that's exactly the reason why I'd rather wait a season. And I think, people talk about the fact that we need depth in the midfield. And look, I'm not going to disagree with you. I'd love to see depth in the midfield, but I'd rather see us wait, get a world-class midfielder in, and people talk about saying, but we can just sell Xhaka in a year. And I'm like, I don't want to sell Xhaka in a year. Xhaka's been bloody brilliant. Why would I want to get rid of him? We're so fickle sometimes. We're so we need to do things straight away. New toy syndrome and all of that. No. Xhaka's been great. No reason to get him go. No reason to move him on. He's been integral to the dressing room. He's been integral to the way that we're playing at the start of this season. There's no reason why at 30, 31 years of age that he would be next season, that's suddenly going to drop off, because he's been peaking now. So there's no reason to tell me why his form would drop off just because he hits 31 rather than being 30. So no, keep Xhaka. Buy better than Tielemans. It's a simple one for me. Harvey says there's over 1,100 of you watching and we've only got 132 likes. Hit that like button. We should be over 100, at least over 300. So if you are watching and enjoying the show and you appreciate all the hard work that goes into putting these on every day, do drop a like on the video. I should also tell you that I'm going to be live not only at 10 a.m. this morning, I'm going to be live at 9 a.m. this morning as well, over on Deluded Gooner's channel at 9. So do join me and DG at 9 o'clock on his channel, and then join me at 10 o'clock on the Arsenal Way. Honestly, my life. 8 a.m. show, 9 a.m. show, 10 a.m. show, 8-hour shift, 6 p.m. show, preview show coming tonight as well on this channel. I'm just talking Arsenal from 8 till 8. It's mental. Ridiculous. Lynn says, Tom, not a question, but is it this weekend you and your partner? Yes, Friday. So 2 days' time. 2 days to go. Crazy. Mental. Andrew says, great show as always. Thank you, mate. Really appreciate that. Benjamin says, I think we should just cut our losses and end the season and the table here. May as well take it. Stop the count. I've seen so many stop the count memes across my socials this weekend. Marcus says, any update on Ainsley Maitland-Niles? Last I heard, a few Premier League clubs wanted him. Yeah, Bournemouth, West Ham, Fulham, they've all inquired. I'm sure there's a lot of inquiries going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, especially on the continent. I'd be shocked if he's still here. Absolutely shocked if Maitland-Niles is still here come the end of the transfer window. The club want to move him on. It's been made pretty clear to Maitland-Niles that he's not in the plans for the season. He should be moved on. Arsenal, I think, will probably get around 5 to 7 million quid if we're lucky, to be fair, for him. It's just part of what it is. So there you go. Gaz says, hey, Tom, catching up on your show from 2 a.m. in Nebraska, USA. Don't worry about waking up to feed the newborn. Great show as always. Oh, wait a minute. I've read that completely wrong. I was like, don't worry about waking up to feed the newborn. And he's saying, don't worry about me getting up early. I'm feeding the newborn. Very different sentences. But Gaz, thanks for tuning in, mate. And I hope the little one isn't giving you too much jip. Paul, no evidence of FFP watch list even exists. No one has seen it or is aware of other 19 clubs allegedly on the list. Clickbait story. I can't say whether or not it is. I just think, there's a little, I just feel it's like using Arsenal in the name of the headline's always going to draw you. That interest, isn't it? John says, if we get trouble for FFP, I'd take them to The Hague because that would be a crime against humanity considering Chelsea, City, Newcastle and Forest right now. Io says, Tom, how Tielemans being cup-tied affects his price. He was bang average in the last night's match and his head bobbled in a weird way when his head bobbled. What? I don't think that matters how his head moves when he runs. But in terms of him being cup tied, did they get rid of? I feel like they got rid of cup ties. Am I wrong about that? I thought they got rid of them. I might be wrong, but I swear I saw a thing about them getting rid of cup ties. But does it matter if he's playing in the Carabao Cup? Probably not. I'll be very honest with you. I can't really see Tielemans happening. I just can't see that happening. I've leaned towards one signing to no signing and one signing to no signing. I don't know. I don't know. Apparently it is still a thing, says Dave. And Dave is my man on the ground for these rules. He's always good about this stuff. So must still be a thing. Yeah, look, I don't know who we're going to sign. It's the honest. You'd rather I was honest. You'd rather than me making up a load of BS about transfers. I don't know if we're going to sign anyone between now and the end of the window. We could potentially sign someone. There could be stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. I hope we do. I hope we sign someone. If I knew it, I'd tell you. I'd report it. Anything that I have found out, I have. I have to say that when I did the show with Ben Jacobs, kind of talking about the reality of speaking and reporting on transfers, there is no benefit to doing it. There's no benefit there's no benefit to me about reporting on transfers. There's genuinely no kind of, what's the best way to put this? There's no benefit to me saying a story about X player or this player's going to sign. There's no reward. There's no joy. There's nothing like, you get like hundreds of thousands of followers and all that stuff. It's just not worth it. If you're wondering while I'm rambling on, it's better if you go and watch the show that I did with Ben Jacobs talking about, I think the show's called Reporting on Arsenal Transfers, or The Truth About Reporting on Arsenal Transfers. There's no benefit to it. You just get abuse. You just get a hate. There's no like warm feeling in your stomach that you broke a story. That's why I know a lot of journalists that have information don't report it, because it's just not worth the grief. It's just not worth it. That's why I'd just rather sit and discuss transfers with you guys than have to worry about breaking information with you guys. Harvey, thank you so much for the donation. Small gift for the wedding, and congratulations, Tom, and your soon-to-be wife. Thank you, Harvey. That's very, very kind of you indeed. SEK. What is SEK? SEK currency. Harvey, we're finding out where you're from. Swedish krona. Wow. Harvey, I would not have put you down. I didn't know Harvey was a big Swede. Maybe you've moved. Maybe I'm being ignorant. Maybe Harvey is a Swedish name, but I wouldn't have put it down as Swedish at all. Chris, thank you so much, mate. Bottle of champers for you, mate. Congratulations. Big love for Friday. PS, I'll try and come on one of these. Yeah, Chris, it's been too long, mate. You've been brilliant with your support of the channel. But I'd love to see you get on the show, mate. Get in that Discord server, my friend, and get on one of these shows sometime soon. We will, of course, be doing our preview show for the game against Fulham tonight at 6 p.m. with 3 of the members. If you would like to help support the channel, you can become a member. It gives you access, if you're an expert member or a TGT ambassador, to our Discord server. And then that gives you access to coming on to our preview shows for a chat. And I'll be doing that with 3 of our members tonight ahead of the game against Fulham at 6 p.m. So make sure you tune in for that. But thank you, Chris. Very, very generous indeed. And thank you for your continued support of the channel, as always, my friend. Akin says, Tom, do you think us not signing Paqueta is a big mistake, considering the World Cup is coming and he might be worth 5 times more? I doubt about that much, but he might have a great World Cup. He also might get injured at the World Cup. So anything can happen. It's any which way things can happen right now. Ollie says, hey Tom, Liverpool went from 72 to 97 points in just one season. Are we primed for a similar leap? Ollie, I pray that we are. I hope that you're right, my friends. That would be amazing. But it's still very, very tough. Very tough indeed to expect us to go from that level to that. Please read my comment. There you go. I've done it. Just read it. Yasin says, am I dumb or were there no's? Oh, yes. Yasin, thank you for reminding me. I did not discuss the Saliba contract news at all, which means I'll now have to include that in the timings for the thing after I finish the show. So the Saliba contract thing, you've probably seen things going around on your socials yesterday. I think it was AFC Camden. Look, I trust the boy Z. I know a lot of you follow Z on Twitter, and he's retweeted this, and I have big faith in what Z retweets. So this tweet from AFC Camden that says supposedly Saliba has already agreed to sign a new contract with Arsenal. That there's a delay, and that it will probably be announced sometime during the season. Interesting. I know it's not the first kind of ITK, if you like, to suggest this, and I know Freddie Paxton, of course, also reported this. That there's already agreement in place to get this contract. Now, it is my understanding that nothing's been agreed yet. That doesn't mean that these reports aren't true. I've just heard nothing to suggest that there has been an agreement put in place. I know that James McNicholas of The Athletic spoke on the Arse blog, Arsecast Extra, about this, and said he too had heard absolutely nothing in regards to a new contract being signed, and that there was kind of a feeling that this would happen further down the line and that talks would take place further down the line about agreeing a new deal. we'll have to wait and see. Look, I hope he signed a new deal. I hope that this information is right. I would love that to be the case. But I'm telling you, just from my perspective, I have heard personally nada about the potential of that. Would I tell you if I did? It would create quite a bit of fuss. So there's no benefit to me, I suppose, even if I had done. Phil, thank you so much for joining up the show as a member. Welcome to the TGT family, and I'm sure all the chat books are already giving you a warm welcome to taking your seat. And so I love this. Now we've got the TGT Stadium, of course. Every member kind of gets their own season ticket. I love this. I know that Harry, when we did the Canston Simu show, came along and we were talking about sitting in the press box. It's all our imagination. It's all us being a little bit nerdy, but we love it. We absolutely love it. Akshat says, lol, such hilarious wording. If a contract is signed down the line, he'll just point to this stupid tweet and say he called it. Delay an announcement makes it literally no sense. Look, obviously, if you do throw enough, what at the wall, some of it's going to stick, I suppose. But I don't think this person that's tweets all that much about stuff. Our good friend the gerbil only tends to post stuff when he actually does know stuff. And yeah, so it's about, obviously, if you tweet, or if you're like an ITK wannabe and you're constantly tweeting, constantly trying to and it's quite vague. We used to do, obviously, the ITK raters on the show. We had a lot of fun with that last summer. I haven't really done it this summer. I've done a couple of tongue-in-cheek ones, but it's just not worth it. It's really not worth my time trying to find out who's lying and who's, and in my head I'm going, what is the benefit? I've spoken to a number of people that have stopped actually doing ITK stuff because they just, even though they knew information and they'd said stuff that actually did come true, there was just no benefit to it. And all that happens is you just start tweeting information, and people then tweet at you saying either you're a liar or you're a fraud. And even when you get information that's right, the whole Lokonga situation that I had got information on, he was set to stay. Yeah, all these reports coming out saying that AC Milan are interested and Arsenal are willing to let him go. A source very close to Lokonga made it aware to us that he has no intention of leaving Arsenal. He wants to stay at Arsenal this summer. Now, obviously, things do change, and that's another danger, of course, about reporting on transfers. Is if you say get a piece of information at the start of August or the start of July, which was about the time that I got the information on Lokonga, and then say a month later the club go to Lokonga and say we're bringing in Tielemans, and we actually don't think that you're going to get the amount of minutes that maybe we thought you were a month ago, and then we send you on loan. What happens is you get people going back to a tweet you put a month ago going, you said he was staying. And I'm like, yeah, because at that time he was. Things change. But as far as I'm aware right now, Lokonga will still be an Arsenal player come next season, unless they make a decision to change things, and things do change. But that's the thing, is that there's no benefit to really reporting that much your own information on transfers. WhatsApp groups that I'm in, stuff gets thrown about all the time that we just don't talk about publicly, because if you did, what's the benefit to you of talking about that? Do you know what I mean? There's no benefit. You're either going to get called a liar or a fraud, or you're going to get picked up on it later down the line when something changes, because inevitably football changes every single day. There's no benefit, which is why sometimes I'm very, very for the likes of David Ornstein, etc. So much respect, because they put their reputation on the line with every single kind of story that they put out there. And it's nerve-wracking. I remember the story I put out about Tielemans, the fact that the club are willing to wait until next season to get that deal done. My God, the hate and abuse on that, saying this is just beer. And the thing is, obviously, because people want Tielemans to sign, they're desperate for Tielemans to sign, and so if there's any kind of suggestion that won't happen, the messenger just gets absolutely bombarded. It's crazy. And it's just part and parcel of the business. So yeah, unreal, really mental. Thug says so many clickbait accounts on fake transfers, and that's the thing, is for me, what I don't understand the benefit. I know that you see accounts getting sold and built up and then sold on and stuff like that, illegally, I should add. You see it happen all the time, but I guess that's the only kind of benefit of it, really. But yeah, we'll see. Arteta's Lightbulb says, are you concerned with Neto's injury? No. I mean, I did watch Dr. Raj Prabra's video. You should go and watch it as well. If you just type in Neto injury 3CB performance, that's the number 3, C, Charlie, B, Bravo. on Twitter or on YouTube. It'll come up. He did a video dedicated to kind of breaking down whether or not Neto's injury is a problem. In short, it's not, but it's definitely worth going and watching because it's very interesting when Raj does his, Dr. Raj, I should say, when does his videos on stuff like that. Deep Kundu says, do you think contract extensions are more important than incomings? I mean, yeah, if you told me that I can have Neto and Tielemans, or I can get Saka and Saliba to sign new contracts, Saka and Saliba all day long. All day long. Sign them up. Bring me no one else. Get them on long-term deals. I'd much rather that happen between now and the end of the summer than bringing in 2 players all day long. Let's scroll up. I'm going to go for a few more minutes because obviously I know I'm jumping on with DG at 9 o'clock anyway, so I'm going to be around. Adam says, Tom, did you read Swiss Ramble's thread on Arsenal's financials and FFP? I did. He's a very, 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 very clever man, is Swiss Ramble. So, yeah, I hope that you read it. If you haven't done so already, it's very enlightening. It's complicated. You know, he doesn't hold back on the simplicity at time, on the lack of simplicity, I suppose. But it's very interesting indeed. But it gave me confidence that I still think we're going in the right path and the club clearly know what they're doing. And the FFP, whilst there's kind of this thing in the background about it, I think the club would be fine. I don't really have too much of a problem with it at all. Kevin, thanks, mate. Really appreciate your kind comment. Thanks, Ahmed. You too. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have left some really kind comments that I've missed. I'm really sorry. There's over 1,300 of you in the chat, and I can't pick out all of them. Matt says that's a big benefit, Tom. Huge money to be made in the building, selling a large following. Yeah, I suppose so, isn't it? You know, that's the benefit of having a big following, is if you can move on your account to someone else. There's a financial benefit to that, I suppose. Peter says, Tom, do you think some Arsenal fans really want Tielemans to join because they think Xhaka will be dropped? Maybe. But Tielemans doesn't start over Xhaka right now. You know, I wouldn't drop Xhaka for Tielemans at all. I think Xhaka's been up there, one of our best players this season. Absolutely easily. Let's go to Alan, who says, hey, Tom, do you think we can go for Ndidi? He's a good centre defensive mid. Do you rate him? Is Youri worth more than 30 million? I love Youri for his goals. Is he press resistant? I don't think he's necessarily press resistant, no. And I would take Ndidi, 25 years of age, but would be expensive. I imagine that Leicester wouldn't let him leave for a silly fee. So very expensive indeed, and then wouldn't necessarily start for us all the time. So are you going to spend £50 million on a player that's going to be back up to Partey most of the time? I think that's different than spending 50 million on Neto, who, you know, you can rotate very easily with the front three because he can play in any of 1 or 3 positions. Partey and Ndidi, it's just a straight swap with those two. So you don't get as much opportunity to rotate, especially across some really important fixtures. Anyway, we're going to wrap things up there. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning into the show. Do drop a like on the video if you are indeed new around here with those notifications turned on so you never miss a show. As I said, I'll be live over on DG's channel at 9 a.m. I'll then be live over on the Arsenal Way at 10 a.m. And then I'll be back here at 6 p.m. doing a preview for the Arsenal game against Fulham with 3 of our fantastic members. So do set your alarm 3 times and you can tune in for those shows. Mental day. But, you know, you got to just make sure you get as much content out before you get married, I suppose. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you a little bit later on this morning. And as always, up the Arsenal.